Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 3 of CES 2017 at the CNET stage. I'm Iyaz alongside Roger, float like a butterfly and sting like a bumblebee Chang, and Ben Fox Rubin for a bigger than usual episode of our excellent bite-sized news podcast at 3:59. If you're new to the show, you should really watch the show. Roger and Ben break down the most important tech stories in about 4 minutes, hence the title of the show. Actually, we're going to start off with a guest. We've got MQ Wong, CEO and founder of 00 Robotics, to talk about his flying camera, the Hover Passport camera.
All right, so I'm actually showing off a new feature that we introduced to the Hover camera. It's called owner mode. So this is the first flying drone out on the market that actually recognizes its owner and allows you to interact with it completely phone-free without any controller. So the way it works is I'll fire up the app, and I'm going to record a new owner. So what it does is it's going to let me turn my face around and then just take a few shots of my face and then send it to this device. From then on, I don't need my phone anymore. I could just press a button and let go of it. And what it's going to do is it's going to span and then scan the environment to look for me. There you go. Once it locks onto me, if I move, it just moves with me.
Cool.
So it's a completely autonomously flying camera. And the cool part is if I want a selfie, I want a photo to be taken, all I need to do is to hold out my palm, and the light will blink and the signal to me. It's basically doing like a countdown on your the timer, the old school timer on your phone, and it will just snap a photo. If I wanted to stop, I'll hold out my hand again and give the OK sign, and it will just stay there waiting for me to retrieve it. And I can just grab it like this.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Wait, so I'm a little skeptical on the facial recognition. Like how does that scanning work? How reliable is that?
It's actually pretty reliable, right? So the reason we will ask you to turn around a little bit is because the camera, the flying camera, will look at you, not just from the front, but from the side and from behind as well. But once it locks onto you, it's not just relying on the features it extracts from your face. It's actually trying to separate you away from the environment and people standing next to you. So it does that contrast sort of algorithm, which makes it even more robust.
So that's a new software upgrade that's coming in about, you said 2-3 weeks now?
Exactly, yeah. So since we launched the product in late October, we already introduced 3 upgrades. Each of them gives you better experience, new features. And this is the beauty of this generation of flying robots, right? Because you can do what we call OTA, over-the-air upgrades of the firmware and the software at all times.
What are some of the other hand gestures that people can expect?
Yeah, so we're going to
forward?
introduce 7 hand gestures altogether when we release this to our users. It's going to allow Hover Camera to do things like 360 orbit, orbit around you, so sort of like self-spinning or spinning around you, and you can actually control its position as well, so up and down, left and right.
Cool.
Yeah, it really is. I saw a demo yesterday at the booth. It seems really like kind of crazy to believe that exists at all. I know that's been out since, you said October or so. So it's $599, correct?
That's correct.
And it's this software upgrade 2-3 weeks, like you said.
Yes.
And you'll be able to be followed around by a flying camera, essentially. I was talking to somebody, they're like, don't call it a drone. Because it's not a drone, really.
Yes.
Because you're not racing this thing. It's really meant to be a camera. It's got about, what, a 10 to 15-minute battery life?
That's right. Each battery gives you 10 minutes of flight time, and we ship 2 batteries with the standard package. We were actually just running around CES yesterday with Hover Camera following us, and it was kind of fun. We think of it as your personal photographer, right? Not so much as a drone.
And what are the quality of the photos? Like, what's the resolution of the
camera?
camera?
Yeah, so it's a 13-megapixel camera that gives you 13-megapixel photos, and it shoots up to 4K videos.
You have any photos you can show off? Can we actually take some photos of us on the stage and we can maybe show it to camera?
Yeah, of course. With Hover Camera.
Let's do it. Let's
do it.
Let's do it.
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. Get close.
All right, so we're going to fire up the Hover.
I'm going to fire it up.
So
that gives us a 720 live view of where we are. And I'm going to just
take a
press
photo
the
right now.
And let it go. And there you go. That's the 3 of us, right?
Hey.
Yeah.
That's
so
nice.
to snap a photo, you just do that. That's that easy. I'm going to bring it up a little more.
Cool.
And then point it downwards. So the camera actually tilts 30 degree downwards and, 90 degree downwards and 30 degree upwards, right? I can move it back a little bit.
Sweet.
Just like that. And
once you take that photo, can I grab that phone and show it to camera?
Yeah. Can we look at it? 1, 2, 3. There you go. Yeah, and I'm going to show you the camera, show you the photo. It's instantly transmitted to your phone.
Yeah,
so that's the shot.
Why don't I grab that real quick? I can show it to the audience right now. So this is the shot that we just took live on the stage.
Oh, it's pretty nice.
It's ridiculous. That actually just happened. That's real. that's just insane, man.
Yeah,
I really like that drone.
That actually made me look good.
That's impressive.
That's a trick.
That's very hard to do.
We have a beautification function that we built into it that identifies the best looking people,
What's the
and not do anything with them. So
what's the actual? Can you tell me a bit about the camera specs? Like, how many megapixels is it? How big is the camera?
like I mentioned, it's 13
sorry,
megapixels. Yeah.
13 megapixels.
Yeah, and it shoots 4K videos actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I know it does it does electronic image stabilization up to 1080p,
right.
correct?
That's right.
But it
That's
doesn't do it for 4K.
Yeah, because 4K, like it's too large, and the processing time it requires to process a video stream is too long, so you won't get it live. Yeah, but we could do offline video stabilization of 4K videos, though. Yeah.
You can do that. Isn't
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that's in the app?
Yeah. Well, we haven't built into the app yet.
That's
'cause, yeah.
Is
so
that
what is
another over-the-air app update?
Oh,
or-
we could totally do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So these days, it's all about short content that you instantly share with your friends and family. Nobody really shares that much 4K videos, right?
Right
not
now.
on Instagram, not on not on Facebook. But yeah, as the network gets faster, I'm sure people will be seeing a lot more 4K videos floating around.
Would you mind mentioning price and availability again? I know it's $599
Sure,
or so?
it's $599 but you get a whole package. There's an extra battery, there's a carry case, there's spare propellers, everything. And you can get it from gethover.com.
And how much does it weigh? Just real quick, it's really light. Do you have to register with the FAA
That's
or
actually
anything?
very important. So this is 242 grams to be exact, so that's under half a pound.
Oh, wow.
And it's under the weight limit regulation imposed by FAA, so you don't need a license to operate it.
It's
you
all
can fly
carbon
anywhere.
fiber, right? Like
Exactly.
That's freaking light. I've
Yes.
been playing with
so
that.
it's actually, you can press on that. It's very sturdy. So if this is built out of plastic, when you apply that much pressure, it will just break. But because it's carbon fiber, so it's sturdy and it's light.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and come back with more 359.
All right, thank you guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
359 on our last day of coverage of CES 2017. One of the things we've seen at a lot of the booths, Intel, Qualcomm, Ericsson even, a lot of 5G talk, wireless, crazy fast speeds. I know, Roger, I was reading one of your articles a long time ago, about a couple months ago. Tech time is weird. So I think Verizon like 3.7 gigabits per second for their 5G wireless. What did you see out there?
You know what 5G, it's not, I don't think people are publicly talking about it that much, but it's sort of this undercover trend, this undercurrent. What it is right now, 5G is so fast and so responsive that it's really the network that everyone's looking at to power all the other trends that we're seeing. Self-driving cars, Internet of Things, high quality 4K streaming video. All that stuff needs to have a wireless connection if we're going to be mobile. And right now, 4G and LTE's not really cutting it. It's not as responsive enough. Everyone's sort of looking at 5G as a really holy grail for getting everything connected in a real responsive way.
Do you have a timetable for when 5G is going to roll out with these networks? Because I think AT&T is testing it out somewhere. I'm completely blanking where it was, but they're trying it out.
They started trials. They're going to start trials with in terms of like as a home broadband replacement, right?
Yeah.
Like taking out all the wires and just going full 5G. But we're not really going to see 5G in a real way like we see LTE. It's more going to be like 2018, 2020. They're still kind of working on it. That's why that's why people are really talking about it behind closed doors. It's not really super public. You're not seeing a lot of 5G devices here at the show.
Right. But the weird thing is that the fact is Ericsson's got a giant booth, and it's all about 5G in the location of where Dish used to be. Dish got pushed aside, and they're right across, and this is this little pavilion essentially of Intel, Qualcomm, Ericsson, and 5G is plastered everywhere.
Yep.
And that speed, I'm waiting for that one day. Like, it's supposed to be, what, 300 times faster than LTE right now?
Yeah, it's like 100 times faster than the fastest possible home connection you can get. Broadband, not even wireless. Like, it's amazingly fast.
Isn't it the type of thing where you're going to end up with a bottleneck if you don't get 5G soon enough? Like, some of the concepts are like live streaming VR, autonomous cars. Like, do we need 5G as an ingredient in those recipes to actually make those things happen too?
So what the carriers are doing, they're upgrading LTE at the same time. They're trying to get LTE to the point where it's fast enough, so it's an okay experience, but 5G really unlocks things like self-driving cars. Like the responsiveness, the latency of the 5G network is almost real time. LTE, there's always a little bit of lag when you ping something, and when you're in a self-driving car and it's about to get into an accident, like you need to have that zero latency. Like it's got to be super responsive. That's where 5G unlocks sort of the full potential of a self-driving car.
The other thing is with 5G, with those crazy speeds, even if it's lagging and it's slow, a slow 5G connection is way faster than the fastest LTE.
Right.
That's one of the things I always look when I'm this is so nerdy right now. When I build my home network and I'm working on those things, I check. I'm like, well, yeah, it's going to be slow here, but it's still fast enough for me because you want to be able to pull 4K video. That'd be great if you could do that on a phone. Right. You try that now, it's going to just stutter and it's going to die out there.
So they did have kind of a prototype 5G network at the Ericsson booth. What they were doing is pulling live 360 feed from the Intel booth and streaming into an Oculus Rift, like in real time. The quality was pretty damn good.
And this is through a wireless network?
Yeah, this is through 5G. Like this is like the simulated 5G network that they put up.
So speaking of VR and AR, right? So VR last year was actually pretty big last year here because Oculus had a booth. Now Oculus does not have a booth this year, but there's still a VR section, augmented reality. Well, I didn't say VR, virtual reality, and augmented reality section. What did you guys think of what we saw this year?
You know, I was a little disappointed. I mean, look, there's some hardware that's great, but you know, the problem right now with VR is there's not a lot to watch, and the stuff I saw is mounted to teasers and commercials, so it was a little disappointing and underwhelming for me.
Ben, you tried out the Intel one.
The Intel one, at the Intel event, there were a lot of different demonstrations. I definitely like the concept of live sports in VR. You know, you get a better appreciation of like what it's actually like to be there. But at the same time, yeah, I agree with you that I think it's still going to take a little bit longer for us to get the amount of content that we really need.
Yeah, so you guys are talking about content. I was on the floor checking out a lot of the hardware. I liked a lot of the hardware. When it came to ODG, they had these awesome glasses. They're essentially like an Android phone on your face. It had a Snapdragon 835 in there, which isn't even out yet, and it had a great picture quality. So I thought the hardware is actually getting there, because I have a Daydream View at home, and it just kind of pulls forward. The ODG, you can see it right now, it got a lot of cool things. So that's a nose pad right there. They can actually adjust. You can bring it up or down. If you have a different shaped nose, they can actually change that out for you. They also have the little snap-ins for your prescription lenses. They were super comfortable. Image quality was great. It cost about $1,000 coming out later this year.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. $1,000?
$1,000 720p images though. And the other thing is they've really modified Android. So you can have the image either on your left eye, your right eye, or both. So whatever you're doing, you can see what you're doing. They've also changed notifications. I'm like, this is actually a really good implementation of how it should be, because I was so surprised at how light it was, because it felt like, all right, I'm gonna put this thing on, it's got all the electronics in the actual device, put it on, and it just felt like my glasses.
So we tried it on stage actually earlier this week, and one of the things that really impressed me, they showed me a demonstration, live sports on display, but sort of underneath it was this 3D rendering of the field, and the players in 3D kind of moving around, and you could sort of manipulate it with the glasses. It was actually really stunning, and
cool.
I came away impressed. But again, great hardware, not a lot of content. I mean, I go back to that Qualcomm Power Rangers experience that I tried.
Which was awesome. I tried it out yesterday. I loved it, because you don't like Power Rangers apparently.
Look, you get in the Zord, and like 10 seconds later, the whole thing's over. When you're about to get to the cool stuff, it's like, oh. And end.
Well, you're complaining because they don't have enough content in the actual adventure as it was, but I'm just saying if you enjoy Power Rangers and you get to see the actual Megazords around you, it's awesome, Roger.
Well, they are also doing some stuff where they're trying to improve the hardware, where they're adding additional enablements. Like, for instance, we saw the Hypersuit at CES unveiled, which is basically like this ridiculous-looking metal rig that you get on top of, and it simulates flying. You know, those are arm controls right there. It looks pretty ridiculous, but at the same time, it's like, how do we make this even more immersive?
Yeah, so like when I saw it, it looked like you remember the old arcade game Super Hang-On? You kind of on this motorcycle kind of thing. But yeah, it looks way more ridiculous. There's Scott Stein taking a bullet for us all right there. He was trying this out, and there you have to lay on it. It looks like a massage table or something. When you're moving your arms, you're supposed to have a real experience as if you're flying. I don't know if that's necessary, but I thought it was a really cool idea. Because you got to figure out how, look, you got VR. You can't walk around everywhere. Last year we had that 360 kind of treadmill, little plastic thing you can kind of run around in. You got to figure out how can you not bump into stuff. The Hypersuit, as ridiculous as it looks, you're not going to run into people.
All right, but let me ask you, who's gonna get this? Is this for arcades?
No, it's like for casinos, theme parks. You're not supposed to buy it. It's like a rental
specifically asked
item.
them that question.
Right.
I'm like, okay, so where is this going to be? Like, like back when the old Surface table existed, same kind of thing. This idea that I believe it belongs in arcades. Like VR.
Wait, what arcades?
VR belongs in arcades, flat out, because those things.
So it belongs in the '80s, basically.
Yeah, I guess so.
snap.
Or the 80s, you know, things come back, Roger. I don't know if you're old enough to know this, but there are cycles to things. And things come back. You know, bell bottoms will be back again in 20 years. They'll be like, oh, why? It was back in the 90s and it shouldn't be there. Arcades will be back.
Okay.
I promise. They might be in bowling alleys. I don't know.
All right, that makes more sense.
So now we've killed this horse. It's
Yes.
gone now. What's your favorite thing you've seen at CES, Ben?
Me?
Not you, Bumblebee.
Oh, geez. I would probably say it would be the Hush Me, which is this kind of crazy looking muzzle type of situation where if you're in an open office space, what you can do is have private conversations even if folks are sitting next to you. So yeah, it looks pretty strange.
So
it looks kind of ridiculous.
This is an actual device and it's a muzzle for humans.
Right, but you know, this guy could be having a private conversation. He could be calling his doctor or his wife or whatever, even if he's in the office or he's out and about, whatever. One of the other aspects of it is that it adds like voice filters, so you can sound like Darth Vader if you want to. Obviously, it's not even going to hit crowdsourcing platforms until a little bit while longer.
Who's going to want this thing?
I don't know. I thought it was kind of fun.
We have an open office in the New York office, and it's very, very loud. We have some very loud people.
Everyone's going to look like Bane from Batman.
That's okay. I saw
and
this.
talk like him, apparently.
Right.
Is that an option? You can do Bane? I know Darth Vader just said, but
Not
like.
quite yet. Not Bane yet, but maybe.
They got to have Bane, right? Like that's exactly what Bane looks like without the glasses.
I don't know about this and whether it should exist or not, but you know what? One of my favorite things about CES, the fact that you see crazy stuff like that, because you got to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And this, it might work in an open office environment. We might see an investment, I believe, at our office. You think so? Especially for you.
I don't know. It's another one of those things like the hypersuit that looks strange, and you kind of have to convince people that you're not going to look like an idiot actually buying this thing and using it.
I was wowed by the LG W7 TV. Like that's a super thin TV. It's 2.57 millimeters thin, and I have this weird cognitive dissonance. I'm like, it's so thin, it's awesome. Why would you spend $8,000? That's actually the price. They told us that yesterday.
Wow.
$8,000 is available pre-order right now. And I'm like, it's really cool. They keep saying like you can't distinguish it from the wall. It sits less than 4 millimeters away from the wall with its new mount. It's got these, you screw in 2 points and they have 2 magnets on the bottom. It's 18 pounds, so you don't have to worry about studs. You don't have to worry about actually mounting this to something sturdy. You can just put it up on anything. I was just amazed by that. Actually, and so since it's so thin, to attach, HDMI cables and stuff, you couldn't do that. So they decided to put a ribbon cable, proprietary ribbon cable, to the sound bar. You can see it. It's this giant sound bar, Dolby Atmos, and when you turn it on, these 2 speakers actually rise out of it. Because why not? You're spending $8,000 on a TV. I don't need it, but I want it.
Oh,
and I don't understand why.
The screen is so nice too. It's a really gorgeous OLED screen.
Didn't even mention that. It's OLED, so like it's pure black. You're getting real awesome color there. Did you saw it on the floor, right?
Oh yeah. No, and I mean, Katzmeyer, our TV expert, loves OLED. Really sort of the high end in terms of video. And yeah, I have to agree. This is some awesome stuff.
So Roger, what was your favorite thing?
Mine was one actually I found at the Ericsson booth. It was the Tactile Touch platform. It was this little accessory to your VR headset, like an Oculus Rift or Vive. It attaches to your finger. It's got a little haptic feedback. So when you're in the virtual world, if you're touching something, it'll actually push back. So it'll feel like you're actually pressing a button on a remote control. Or at one point, I was like patting a teddy bear, and I actually was able to grab a Pepsi can and throw it. And after a while, I was starting to get convinced that I was actually touching something.
It felt that natural?
It felt pretty natural. It's a little early. I feel like a little janky. It kind of came off sometimes a little loose, but in terms of promise of it, that's a real useful thing, right? When you're in the virtual world, you are a little disconnected, right? Like you can see everything, but you can't really touch, and this actually adds a new element or dimension to the VR experience.
Yeah, that seems like a really good idea because it's one thing to be immersed in it. It's another thing to be able to actually interact with it. So that's, like we said, the hypersuit. You're trying to figure out how do you actually then make these things feel real. So this is a pretty cool product. I'm going to go try to find it later. I think it's going to wrap it up for us. You think so, guys? You can find the 359. We did it. You can find the 359 on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and of course, CNET.com for the 359 podcast. I'm Iyaz Akhtar.
I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Ben Fox-Rubin.
Thanks for watching. Up next, the Laptop Reviews team is here with all their favorite laptops they've seen at the show. Stay with us.